If you believe that human history is a straight, precisely documented path from the earliest days to the present, then perhaps it is time to listen to the faint whispers from the past. Whispers that come from ancient maps, forgotten relics, and artifacts that logically cannot exist. Don't let the like button be lonely. Don't let the share button wither, and don't let the subscribe button wait for you forever. Of all the strangest artifacts ever found, the Piri Reis Map, a humiliating, time-worn deerskin, may be one of the most shocking mysteries. Drawn in 1513, just over 2 decades after Christopher Columbus's famous voyage, the map not only shows known lands like Europe and North Africa, but also contains unimaginable details, an accurate depiction of the eastern coast of South America, and, most curiously, a strip of land corresponding to Antarctica, sans ice. We're talking about a world where Antarctica had not yet been discovered, had not yet been set foot on. It was not until 1820, nearly 300 years later, that humans first officially discovered the icy continent. So how could a 16th century Ottoman explorer have described it? Who, or what, had revealed its secrets to him? A legacy pieced together in obscurity. According to the notes left by Piri Reis himself, he did not explore these strange lands himself. Instead, his map was based on more than 20 ancient maps, including documents dating back to the time of Alexander the Great, more than 1,800 years before his time. Some of these sources are believed to be remnants of ancient knowledge lost to history. That raises a haunting question. Was there a prehistoric civilization with maritime and geographical skills far beyond our understanding? A civilization that disappeared in the fury of geology and time? Or, more daringly, did such knowledge come from minds not of this world? The deadly incongruities. The Piri Reis Map is controversial not only for what it depicts, but also for what it does not depict. In Piri Reis's time, the technique of determining longitude at sea was almost impossible. It was not until the 18th century, with the advent of the chronometer, that people were able to calculate longitude in a relative way. So why does Piri Reis's map show such incredible longitude accuracy, especially in South America and Africa? The deeper we dig, the more questions arise. How does this map show geographical features so similar to modern satellite images? Why are the coastlines drawn so accurately in distance and direction? Who carried out these surveys thousands of years ago, when people were said to have not yet known about the compass? A map that is not only centuries ahead of its time, but seems to be far beyond the capabilities of our own time without the aid of advanced technology. Another world exists in parallel. There's a theory, which sounds like an ancient fable, that there once existed on Earth a great civilization, perhaps Atlantis, a civilization that advanced science, navigation, and geography to miraculous levels before being engulfed in a global catastrophe. If so, then maps like Piri Reis's may be a legacy, copied and passed down through generations, through hands that did not fully understand the value of what they held. Piri Reis, perhaps, was simply a copyist at the end, someone who drew the fading memories of a lost world. Connections to other mysteries. The Piri Reis Map does not stand alone in the world of mystery. It is in the same mysterious galaxy as the Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old mechanical computer capable of predicting celestial movements with astonishing accuracy. The Peruvian rock carvings depicting extinct animals from prehistoric times. The Egyptian pyramids, with construction techniques that are still controversial today. Do all these bizarre pieces of the puzzle lead to a bigger picture that we have not yet had the courage to look at? Standing on the threshold of truth. The Piri Reis Map is like a half-open door, taking us back not just a few centuries, but perhaps tens of thousands of years to a period that official history has not mentioned. The question is no longer, is this map real or fake? The real question is, if it is real, how much of our own history have we missed? This is just the beginning. In the following sections, we'll dig into every detail of the Piri Reis Map, analyzing every possibility, every hypothesis, and embark on a journey that may leave you never looking at history the same way again. Chapter 1. Piri Reis, the Keeper of the Sea Secrets. There are people in history who were born not just to live, but to leave traces. Piri Reis, that name, echoing through the cold corridors of time, was not simply an Ottoman admiral or a cartographer. He was a fragile bridge between lost knowledge and a world quietly waiting to be awakened. But to understand why his map was so mysterious, we need to trace back each thread of his life. A journey full of unknowns and fateful turns. A childhood hidden in the mists of history. Piri Reis's real name was Muhyiddin Piri, born around 1465 in Gallipoli, a strategic port city on the coast of the Sea of Marmara in the Ottoman Empire, today Turkey. Gallipoli was not only a gateway between East and West, but also a land where the winds of many different civilizations, Byzantine, Arab, Greek, Roman, mingled. Young Piri grew up in an atmosphere heavy with the smell of the sea, amid whispered tales of mysterious merchants, lost ships, and strange lands beyond the horizon. Piri's family belonged to the seafaring class. His famous uncle, Kemal Reis, was one of the Ottomans' most formidable naval admirals. From a young age, Piri was fascinated by stories of the ocean, of bloody naval battles, and of mysterious treasures hidden deep beneath the water. It is said that, at the age of 7, Piri had memorized stories of transatlantic voyages, rumors that Europeans at the time did not know were true or false. Was it possible that, since he was a child, fate had planted an unusual seed in Piri's heart? The seed of a desire to discover the world's hidden secrets? Years at sea. Around 1481, when he was only 16 years old, Piri Reis officially joined his uncle in the Ottoman fleet. The world outside the Gallipoli harbor opened up before him like a mysterious labyrinth, where every storm could swallow a fleet, and every star in the sky was a sign, a whisper from invisible forces. War, piracy, smuggling, cultural exchange, all of this molded a contradictory Piri Reis, a ruthless warrior but also a scholar passionate about knowledge. During his travels, Piri collected not only treasures, but also maps, ancient books, and nautical records, stolen from all over. Maps of Genoa and Venice taken from Italian ships. Nautical records from the Arabs and Persians. Precious documents from Andalusia, present-day Spain, where Islamic and Christian knowledge had once blended before being burned by the Inquisition. He not only collected, but also studied, analyzed, and compared, weaving a complete picture of the world, a world that few in his time dared to imagine. A cartographer, or an inheritor of lost knowledge. There's a little-known detail. Piri Reis did not simply draw maps the way ordinary people do. He believed that the Earth had been drawn before by masters that his time had forgotten. In the notes accompanying the 1513 map, Piri wrote, "This map is a reproduction of 20 ancient maps, and one from the time of Alexander the Great." That may sound simple, but if you think about it, you will feel the trembling of history in every word. Maps from the time of Alexander the Great? But Alexander had died more than 1,800 years before Piri Reis was born. What did those maps show? What lands did they record, and what technology did they use? We are faced with a chilling possibility. Piri Reis may have had access to the remains of a prehistoric civilization, whose maps not only depicted the world as we know it, but also lands that have disappeared under the ocean. Was Piri Reis simply the last copyist in a long line of guardians of prehistoric secrets? Signs of another world. The story of the Piri Reis map lies not only in what he drew, but also in what he could not explain. In his notes, Piri Reis repeatedly refers to the maps of the ancients with respect, almost reverence. He does not claim them as his own. He does not take credit. He simply copies them humbly, with a feeling as if he were unlocking a sacred door. And this, according to many modern researchers, reveals a surprising truth. Piri Reis did not create the map. Piri Reis did not explain all of what he drew. He simply transmitted knowledge that he himself felt was beyond the understanding of humanity at that time. Like a monk carving words on stone, without really understanding the prophecies he was recording. The price of forbidden knowledge. However, perhaps it is precisely because of the great amount of knowledge that is carried with it. Knowledge that society, the life of Piri Reis, ended in tragedy. In 1554, at the age of 90, after a failed naval campaign in Persia, Piri Reis was executed by the Ottoman authorities. Some documents describe that, before his death, he tried to protect the last maps, the unpublished records, but they all disappeared. The official historians record Piri Reis as a failed admiral, but those who listen more closely to the whispers of history will see a different story. Piri Reis may have died because he knew too much, because he held secrets that the powerful feared. Perhaps, in his last moments, he smiled because he knew that, even if his body disappeared, the mystery of the Piri Reis map would live forever, like an unsolved puzzle waiting for humanity to decipher. The calm before the storm. The life of Piri Reis, when viewed through the lens of mystery, is no longer just the story of a man. It is a journey of human memory, a journey to find the lost pieces of history. Now, when the Piri Reis map still lies in the TuTi Museum in Istanbul, like a silent witness, the question still resounds. What did Piri Reis find? And what have we missed? Chapter 2. The Piri Reis Map. A painting of unexplained mysteries. A piece of leather, a portal to a lost world. Imagine, between the cold stone walls of Istanbul's TuTi Palace, hidden in dusty archives, there's an old piece of leather, nothing out of the ordinary. The piece of leather, measuring only about 90 by 65 centimeters, bears dense drawings. Winding coastlines, small islands like musical notes drifting in the middle of the ocean, strange ships waving strange flags, sea creatures that seem to come out of a dream. That is the Piri Reis Map, a map that looks simple on the surface, but the deeper one looks, the more one feels an invisible hand leading them into the inexplicable. The map is incomplete, or is the rest hidden on purpose? The first thing that puzzled researchers. The map is only partially complete, specifically the western part of the world, including the west coast of Africa, the southeast coast of South America, a part of the North Atlantic Ocean, and especially a land far to the south, a land covered in ice and snow. The rest of the map, the north, the east, is completely missing. Was it destroyed? Or was it never completed? Or was it done on purpose so that only those wise enough to understand that we are only allowed to see part of the truth? Mysteries in the details. When maps defy historical logic. 1. South America. Too accurate for its time? In 1513, South America had only been explored on its northern coast. But the Piri Reis map detailed the entire southeastern coast with astonishing accuracy. The bends of the Amazon River, the Gulf that now belongs to Argentina and Brazil, even the remote Patagonia region. When compared to modern satellite images, the lines are found to match uncannily, with only a 5 to 10% deviation. How could an Ottoman admiral who had never set foot there draw such a map? Could he have copied it from ancient maps? Maps from a time when precise surveying technology existed, then disappeared? 2. Antarctica. Was it drawn before the ice? The detail that shocked modern science. At the bottom of the map, Piri Reis drew a large, unnamed landmass with a coastline that was not covered by ice. When compared with modern ice-penetrating radar images, it was found that the coastline exactly matches the actual shape of Antarctica under the ice. This was only discovered by seismic technology in 1958. But how could Piri Reis, or those he consulted, know the shape of the Antarctic coastline if it had been covered by ice for more than 6,000 years? This leads to a terrifying hypothesis. Antarctica was once ice-free and was surveyed and mapped by prehistoric civilizations. Civilizations that we have absolutely no record of in our history books. 3. Coordinates and drawing techniques. On a logical level. On further research, archaeologists realized that the Piri Reis map used a technique called early Mercator projection. That is, a way of drawing a map on a flat surface so that the lines of latitude and longitude are accurate. Gerardus Mercator, the famous Flemish cartographer, did not introduce this method until 1569, but Piri Reis applied it as early as 1513, more than half a century earlier. Even the way the map was gridded and the coordinates were determined on the map showed knowledge of the curvature of the Earth, something that humanity only gradually proved scientifically in the 17th century. So who taught Piri Reis these techniques? Or was he simply copying from an even more ancient source than we know? Piri Reis's own strange notes. The map was not only a picture. Piri Reis also left hundreds of handwritten notes scattered across the land and sea. Among the details that make people's hair stand on end, he told of sea monsters, giant creatures that no one has ever seen today. He spoke of unexplored continents inhabited by mysterious races. He confessed that the data had not been collected by him, but came from ancient sources. Maps from the time of Alexander the Great, notes from those who went before. At one point, he wrote, "This map is copied from ancient maps, preserved from a time when the world was different from what it is today." The words were like an echo from a dead civilization, one that modern history has completely refused to acknowledge. An invitation to enter the labyrinth. All these details, the uncannily accurate coastline of South America, the lack of ice in Antarctica, the advanced projection technology of maps, defy all historical logic. They raise unanswerable questions. Did superior civilizations once exist, then disappear from history? Did civilizations like Atlantis, Lemuria, or Mu really exist? And did they leave traces on ancient maps that Piri Reis was fortunate enough to come across? Or were the travelers not from this world, who once visited and charted the earth in ancient times? Whispers from the parchment. Now, when we stand before the Piri Reis map, looking at the curved lines like the veins of the planet, we see more than just a map. We see whispers from a dead era, voices trying to overcome the dust of time to convey a message. This world was different, and the truth still awaits those brave enough to seek it. Chapter 3. The horrifying theories about the origin of the Piri Reis map. When official history is no longer enough to explain. From the moment the Piri Reis map was discovered and studied, historians were stumped. Measurements, analysis, comparisons with modern technology all lead to a chilling conclusion. Piri Reis could not have created this map himself with only the knowledge he had in 1513. But if he did not, then what was its real origin? Who created the original maps that Piri Reis copied? And the answers, or rather, the theories put forward, are taking us further and further away from the safe land of official history, straight into the realm of the impossible. Hypothesis 1. Legacy of a super prehistoric civilization. A shocking hypothesis, once proposed by Charles Hapgood, a professor of history and geography at Keene State University, USA. He claimed that the Piri Reis map is not a product of the civilizations we know, but a copy of ancient maps belonging to an advanced civilization that was wiped out tens of thousands of years ago. A civilization that knew about the true shape of Antarctica before it was covered by ice, the geological structure of South America, the curvature of the Earth. The principles of map projection are extremely complex. Hapgood even presented this hypothesis to Albert Einstein in 1953. Einstein, after reviewing the research, wrote a short comment. "Your idea is really interesting and reasonable and deserves serious study. If this hypothesis is correct, it will change our entire understanding of human history. It will no longer be just ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, or India that are the cradles of the first civilizations. There are also civilizations buried under ice and snow, under the ocean, or lost in the heart of the earth. Civilizations that once possessed the ability to explore the globe, then disappeared because of some terrible disaster. A great flood? A shift in the Earth's axis? Or a war of destruction between ancient civilizations? Hypothesis 2. The ruins of Atlantis, the lost city. As soon as a prehistoric civilization is mentioned, the name Atlantis immediately rings like a bell. According to Plato's description in Timaeus and Critias, Atlantis is a large island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, i.e. outside the Strait of Gibraltar. a civilization extremely advanced in technology and knowledge, destroyed in a single day and night of terror, sunk deep into the ocean. Supporters of the Atlantis hypothesis argue that the ancient maps, including the Piri Reis Map, are the remaining legacy of the inhabitants of Atlantis. After the catastrophe, the survivors scattered across the world, bringing with them knowledge of geography, astronomy, and navigation. Piri Reis once noted that the source of his maps included notes from the time of Alexander the Great, but also admitted that those maps were even older. Could those notes be the remaining fragments of the Atlantean civilization? Hypothesis 3. Ancient space travel. Maps drawn by visitors? Another hypothesis, so bold that it makes many people shudder. The Piri Reis Map is the product of non-terrestrial beings. Argument. The geographic accuracy, especially when viewed from space, is more like a satellite image than a map drawn by a navigator. The lines connecting the mysterious places on Earth, such as the pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, Easter Island, when projected on the Piri Reis Map, lie along the lines of the Earth's energy. The ancient creatures described in Piri Reis notes resemble human-animal hybrids, a characteristic often found in the legends of gods from stars. So could it be that, before the first human civilization, there were space travelers from distant star systems who visited Earth, surveyed the planet's geography, and left us with magical maps? Piri Reis, unconsciously, may have inherited pieces of an unimaginable picture. Hypothesis 4. Lost technology, an ancient humanity that reached its peak. This hypothesis doesn't require aliens, nor does it require Atlantis. It's simple, but also more terrifying. We reached the pinnacle of technology and then lost it all. According to this hypothesis, tens of thousands of years ago, humanity had advanced astronomical, maritime, and geographical technology. Global disasters such as floods, volcanic eruptions, and climate change destroyed that civilization, pushing humanity back to the hunter-gatherer era. Maps like the Piri Reis are the orphaned legacies that remain, drifting through the young civilizations that followed. Like the image of a modern person stuck in prehistoric times, these maps become misunderstood objects considered mysterious because the current level of understanding is not enough. The scary commonalities between theories. Whichever hypothesis is correct, all lead to the same conclusion. Human history is not as linear as we think. There are periods of brilliance, periods when knowledge has reached unimaginable heights, and then it fades into obscurity. Things we consider impossible, flying, surveying the Earth, exploring the oceans, may have been commonplace in the distant past. The Piri Reis Map, in the light of these hypotheses, becomes a passport back to times we can only perceive as faint echoes. A warning from the past. Finally, there's a haunting thought. If those prehistoric civilizations really did exist and then disappeared, is that a warning for us? That no matter how great, if arrogantly disregarding nature, if war destroys each other, that only takes a blink of an eye for all knowledge, all wonders, all achievements of mankind to turn into ashes. And then, thousands of years later, new people discover strange maps and are as bewildered as we are today. The map of lost memories. The Piri Reis Map, now, is no longer an old piece of parchment. It is a lost memory, a memory of glorious times, of transcendent knowledge, and of tragedies that no one remembers forever. We can only stand on the edge of those mysteries, listening to the vague call from tens of thousands of years ago, and ask ourselves, how much do we really know about our own past? Chapter 4. Decoding the mysterious symbols on the Piri Reis Map. Drawings not for the faint of heart. At first glance, the Piri Reis Map has left researchers baffled, not only because of its surreal geographical features, but also because of the strange drawings scattered across the map's surface. Giant sea creatures, half-mythical, half-real animals, mysterious symbols, and even things that seem not to belong to this world. Are these just medieval artistic creations? Or are these symbols the key to unlocking the door to humanity's oldest mysteries? Sea monsters, myth, or historical memory. On the maps, especially along the coasts of the South Atlantic and South America, there are countless strange shapes. Huge whales with jagged teeth, sea dragons that spew water and fire, hybrids of fish and unicorns, with long horns extending straight from their foreheads. Even creatures resembling giant sea serpents wrapped around small ships. These drawings, in the eyes of modern researchers, can be considered the superstitious imagination of the ancients. But if we turn to other ancient sources, such as the notes of the explorers Olus Magnus or Sebastian Munster, we will see these creatures appear again and again. Could it be these monsters really existed, descendants of prehistoric creatures that survived the ice ages? Or were they strange variations due to genetic mutations in remote areas, unexplored by humans? Or even, are they creatures from other worlds, drifting into ours during the turbulent times of the planet? And if so, Piri Reis' careful recording of them on the map, rather than dismissing them as fiction, could be a warning that out there in the dark oceans, there are creatures far beyond human imagination. Strange symbols, hidden signals? In addition to the mysterious creatures, the Piri Reis Map also features symbols that have left researchers scratching their heads. Crowns hovering over remote islands. Pyramidal structures in the heart of the South American continent. Intertwined circles like modern astronomical patterns. Strange characters that do not belong to any known alphabet at the time. Some conspiracy experts believe that these symbols are not random decorations, but star maps, reflecting the positions of constellations at an extremely ancient time. Code systems, hiding information about lost treasures, ancient relics, or even ancient space portals. An ancient message, reminding us that the world is not only what the human eye sees. In some recent analyses, when comparing the symbols on the map with a model of the ancient Antarctic sky before the Earth changed its axis, people found surprising coincidences. So, is the Piri Reis Map, after all, a geographical map, or a map of the universe, encoded in a way that we are only beginning to understand? Half human, half beast creatures, memories of a chaotic time? Some areas on the map have drawings of creatures that are half human, half beast. Warriors with bird heads and human bodies. Creatures with human bodies, but with the claws of wild animals. Creatures with 4 arms and 4 legs, but with strange glowing eyes. Could this be just a product of the imagination? Or is it a relic of a forgotten past, when ancient biological experiments or strange mutations created terrifying hybrid creatures? Some unorthodox scholars even suggest that ancient civilizations may have possessed rudimentary gene editing technology based on knowledge that we are only beginning to understand today. Or during periods of geomagnetic disturbances on Earth, creatures underwent extreme genetic mutations, creating strange hybrid species. If this is true, then the Piri Reis Map, with its terrifying drawings, is the last remaining evidence of a period of global biological chaos, when the boundaries between species were blurred. Cursive writing, messages from the ghosts of time. Along the notes of the map, Piri Reis wrote in Ottoman Turkish. These are lands that no one can reach, filled with strange creatures and events beyond imagination. Or, this map is compiled from many ancient sources, whose names are unknown, whose dates are unknown. These lines, at first glance, seem like simple explanations, but when read more closely, one can sense the vague fear lurking behind each word. Piri Reis seems not to have fully understood what he holds. He also did not dare to add or edit arbitrarily, as if he were holding in his hands a sacred object containing power and danger beyond his control. And perhaps those cursive lines were not just descriptions, but also warnings, messages to those who accidentally read them. Be careful. This world is vast and strange more than you think. The map as a ghost mirror. As we put together all the details, creatures, symbols, notes, we suddenly realize something chilling. The Piri Reis Map is not simply a description of the physical world. It is like a magic mirror reflecting humanity's deepest fears of the infinite, collective memories of lost glories, the unsolved mysteries of our origins. And like every ghost mirror in legend, those who look into it for too long may see more than they expect. Fragments of the past. Looking at the Piri Reis Map, we see more than just coastlines, mountain ranges, vast oceans. We're looking at fragments of memories, mixed between reality and dream, between science and myth. Another world that once existed, a world which we know only as blurred drawings on damp parchment. And the haunting question still echoes. Are we really the first civilization? Or are we just the children of dead empires, groping in the darkness for the light? The anomalies of the Antarctica in the Piri Reis Map. This is a fascinating chapter that may provide a whole new perspective on the history and future of the Earth. Chapter 5. The Anatomy of the Piri Reis Map. Antarctica without ice. When we look at the Piri Reis Map, there is one detail that most people have overlooked for centuries: Antarctica. But the obvious difference is the way Antarctica is drawn on the map. In particular, the coastline of Antarctica on the Piri Reis Map shows no sign of ice. So, is this a simple misunderstanding of the times? Or is there a deeper explanation? Why did Piri Reis draw Antarctica ice-free, even though modern scientific history confirms that the region has been covered in ice for millions of years? Certainly, one undeniable fact is that Antarctica was once an ice-free land. The Piri Reis Map is not the only one to claim this. Several other ancient maps depict Antarctica quite differently from the map we have today. And this is not simply an artistic creation of medieval cartographers. A lost Antarctica. It is important to note that on the Piri Reis Map, Antarctica is ice-free, but has a clear coastline with islands and small rivers flowing south. This begs the question, why would an area that is now completely covered in ice look so different on a map from the 16th century? One of the most striking theories is that Antarctica was once a habitable land, with its own rivers and ecosystems, but was buried under ice and snow thousands of years ago. A natural disaster that may have been related to a shift in the Earth's rotation or the movement of tectonic plates. It is possible that the Piri Reis Map is not just a picture of the world we know, but also a dim memory of an ancient civilization, left behind in the memories of ancient explorers or in the imaginations of ocean-going explorers. Antarctica's perfect position, what's hidden below? The Piri Reis Map shows Antarctica perfectly positioned in the geographical pattern of the ancient world. The continent's coastlines are not covered by ice, but appear to be one large landmass. This means that at the time the map was drawn, Antarctica may have been a vibrant land, populated by great civilizations. Another prominent theory is that the map may not only be a map of reality, but also a simulation of a forgotten golden age, a world where Antarctica was not an isolated land, but part of the global journeys of ancient civilizations. We cannot help but ask, are there cities, ruins buried beneath the ice? Could mysterious archaeological discoveries near Antarctica, such as pyramid-shaped stones or strangely patterned rocks, simply be traces of a forgotten ancient civilization? Ancient stories about Antarctica. In addition to the Piri Reis Map, many other ancient cultures also had legendary stories about Antarctica. In the myths of the Aztecs, Mayas, and Incas, they all mentioned a mysterious land located in the far south, where there was a superior civilization and a sacred place for the gods. In the ancient writings of Plato, we can also find descriptions of a continent of Atlantis that sank into the ocean. Plato's descriptions match the descriptions of modern scientists about Antarctica, when they claim that this area was once a land with a temperate climate before being covered by ice. So was Piri Reis simply one of the people who knew these legends and tried to convey this information through his maps? The ambiguity of modern scientific research. When modern science studied Antarctica, one of the major discoveries was that under the thick layer of Antarctica's ice, there may be ancient life hidden. Ancient fossils, the remains of ecosystems that have been frozen for millions of years, may contain evidence of environmental changes and previously unknown global events. Many scientists believe that if the Antarctic ice sheet melts, we will discover ancient relics, lost lands. This is a question full of ambiguity and drama. Could Antarctica be a mysterious treasure trove that no one has the ability to explore? The Piri Reis Map and the undiscovered land hypothesis. Based on the information from the Piri Reis Map, an extremely exciting hypothesis has emerged. Antarctica on the map may be evidence of the existence of an unexplored land that modern humans have not yet been able to access. If Antarctica was really a land without ice, then there may be an entrance under the ice, a door leading to a world secret, where there are creatures, civilizations, and events that history has never recorded. This explains why the Piri Reis Map is so uncannily accurate in its details of the Antarctic region. It is information from an ancient source, possibly a civilization that knew about Antarctica before it was covered by ice. Antarctica, a reminder of the mystery of history. We may never truly understand what the Piri Reis Map is trying to tell us. But one thing is certain. Antarctica has never been as simple as we think. This map, with its strange images and unbelievably accurate details, is a reminder that the history of our planet may not be the story we know, but rather a story hidden beneath the ice of time. Chapter 6. Conspiracy Theories about the Origin of the Piri Reis Map. A map containing invisible power. When we talk about the Piri Reis Map, we're not just talking about an ordinary geographical map. This is not just a work of art depicting strange coastlines or mythical kingdoms. This map, with its strange drawings, mysterious symbols, and details that modern science cannot explain, seems to contain an invisible power, something that can change the way we see the world. The question is, how can a map convey such mysterious messages? And where did Piri Reis get the information that we still do not understand? Strange origins, mysterious explorers. According to historical research, Piri Reis was a famous explorer, a naval soldier, and a cartographer who lived in the 16th century. However, the exact origin of the Piri Reis Map is a question without a satisfactory answer. Research shows that he used a series of old maps from previous explorers, even from the French, Spanish, and Portuguese. There's even a theory that some of the maps that Piri Reis used may have been drawn by explorers much before him, possibly even explorers from lost civilizations. Could Piri Reis have used ancient maps from lost civilizations, such as Atlantis, or civilizations that may have developed more advanced navigational techniques than we think? Another intriguing theory is that the map is not just a physical map, but a map of time, a key to unlocking the mythical doors of ancient civilizations. The ancient civilization connection, mysterious expeditions. One of the more intriguing theories explaining the origin of the Piri Reis Map is its connection to lost civilizations, civilizations that existed thousands of years ago but mysteriously disappeared. Could it be that the map was created by Atlanteans, explorers from Plato's mythical Atlantis? Did Piri Reis, with the maps he used, inadvertently preserve traces of a superior civilization that knew of superior navigation technology, capable of traveling around the world thousands of years ago? In addition, according to some studies, the Piri Reis drawings show a surprising similarity to ancient maps of the Egyptians, Sumerians, and other ancient civilizations. The detailed descriptions of distant lands, such as Antarctica, which scientists now claim could not have existed in the imagination of a common 16th century explorer, may have been the discoveries of ancient civilizations who knew about mysterious points on the map that we cannot explain. Conspiracy theory. The map received from an extraterrestrial source. One of the most controversial theories is that the Piri Reis Map was not the product of ordinary humans, but a document of extraterrestrial origin. Could Piri Reis have come into contact with an alien civilization, perhaps extraterrestrial beings with technology far beyond our understanding? Some believe that the map is a message from extraterrestrial beings who provided information about the world to ancient civilizations. It is possible that Piri Reis, as an explorer, had access to supernatural knowledge from a source not of Earth, and the Piri Reis Map was his way of transmitting that information. According to this theory, the strange drawings on the map, along with the incredible accuracy of continents that were unknown to anyone at the time, could be clear evidence of supernatural communication between humans and extraterrestrial civilizations. The Piri Reis Map, a mysterious treasure hunting tool? Another theory is that the Piri Reis Map is a treasure hunting tool. In fact, there are many strange coincidences about this map depicting unexpected areas, from deserted islands to unexplored areas of Antarctica. Perhaps ancient treasures, lost treasures from lost civilizations, are buried in places that only wise explorers can find, and the Piri Reis Map is the key to unlocking the secret door to these treasures. This leads to another theory. Maybe Piri Reis knew of an ancient technology that could help discover treasures, buried assets under the ground or under the sea. And this map could be a guide for those who dare to venture out to find them. With Piri Reis, we are opening a door to endless discovery. Finally, regardless of whether any theory about the origin of the Piri Reis Map is right or wrong, we cannot deny one thing. This map is not simply a map to grandmaster geography. It holds profound mysteries, unanswered questions about history, about the world we live in, and about the civilizations that existed long before humans recorded these events. Piri Reis, with his maps, has created a window into countless possibilities, and we are only just beginning to enter, where we will explore the unsolved mysteries of the Piri Reis Map, questions that humans have not been able to explain after centuries of research. Chapter 7. The Unsolved Mysteries of the Piri Reis Map. The uncanny accuracy of the map. The Piri Reis Map is a geographical masterpiece, not only because of its detail, but also because of its level of accuracy that was beyond the capabilities of 16th century explorers. The coastlines of Antarctica, which were ice-free, were drawn with great precision, which is especially shocking since humans had not yet been able to explore the region at that time. These factors cannot help but raise the question: how could someone like Piri Reis possess such precise information about distant lands that were invisible to the naked eye at that time? In particular, this map includes details that are still unexplainable today, details that would have required advanced technology to draw. The landforms are accurately drawn. One of the most intriguing elements of the map is the accuracy with which the land masses are drawn. The land masses, especially the Antarctic region, are drawn in a way that is unlike any other map of the time. Not only are there small islands and rivers, but there are geographical details that are very similar to what we see on modern maps, despite the lack of modern tools to do so at the time. Studies show that drawing Antarctica on this map would have been impossible for 16th century explorers. Antarctica had not yet been discovered, and it is likely that no one in the Western world at the time knew that Antarctica was covered in ice. However, the Piri Reis Map shows a non-ice covered Antarctica, but a fertile land, like an unexplored land. The ambiguity of the details on the map. In addition to the geographical details, there are also strange symbols and mysterious drawings that appear on the Piri Reis Map that researchers have not yet been able to explain. These symbols could be a kind of code or a system of symbols used by ancient explorers to guide each other to places to explore, or they could be a sign that some important historical event have occurred. One of the notable points is the drawing of rivers and lakes in some areas on the map. This is curious because these drawings resemble ancient river systems, some of which were not discovered until recently. Could these rivers be areas that were lost due to natural events or ancient disasters? The lost maps. There's a theory that Piri Reis was not the first to draw this map, but rather he copied it from ancient maps that he had. Some of the ancient maps may have been kept in ancient libraries, and from these maps, explorers before Piri Reis learned accurate information about unexplored areas, such as Antarctica, Atlantis, or lands that were not covered by ice. Many studies have shown that if we look at the way the land masses on the Piri Reis Map are drawn, it may not be simply the work of a single explorer, but rather a combination of many ancient maps from lost civilizations. These maps may have existed as early as the 1st century BC, when civilizations such as ancient Egypt, Sumer, or even Atlantis were flourishing. The Piri Reis Map and a look at a mysterious world. One of the reasons why the Piri Reis Map still baffles researchers is the unidentified locations that appear on it. There are areas that we know for sure did not exist at that time, and there may even be completely different lands that humans have never discovered. In particular, there are signs that this map is not simply a geographical map, but also contains a mystical message, a message from an ancient civilization, or perhaps a message from an extraterrestrial source, as mentioned in previous chapters. The mystery of the Piri Reis Map pattern, a scientific protocol. One of the big questions that researchers have yet to answer is why the Piri Reis Map has survived so long without being damaged, while other maps from that period have often been destroyed over time. Experts believe that the map may have been made from a special material that only ancient civilizations were capable of producing. In addition, the quality of the map shows a superior level of science and technology on the part of its makers. The extremely precise geographical details may indicate that the map makers had an understanding of the principles of climate, geology, and even the movement of the stars, factors that would not have been possible without a superior understanding of nature and science. A look at a world still waiting to be discovered, despite hundreds of years of research, and there are many theories surrounding the Piri Reis Map. But to this day, there is no single explanation that can satisfy all the questions about it. So, what makes this map still hold such a strong fascination for us? The answer may lie in the mystical nature of the map, a door opening to an unknown world. Perhaps, in the future, with the development of science and technology, we will be able to decipher all the mysteries surrounding this map, and then the secrets of ancient civilizations, lost regions, and even legendary treasures will be revealed. But until then, the Piri Reis Map will remain a symbol of mystery, an immortal witness to a lost world and unanswered questions, where we will explore the influence and reflection of the Piri Reis Map in popular culture. This will be a dramatic and engaging chapter, as we examine how this map has influenced stories, movies, and conspiracy theories in the modern world. Chapter 8. The influence of the Piri Reis Map in popular culture. A mystical symbol in popular culture. The Piri Reis Map is not only a mysterious piece of history, but also an icon in popular culture. For over 500 years, it has been the subject not only of historical researchers, but also of enthusiasts of myths, hypotheses, and conspiracy theories. Certainly, whether in research documents, films, or books, this map has created a strong attraction as a mysterious story about ancient civilizations and secrets waiting to be discovered. This not only proves the mystery of the map, but also shows a deep human curiosity for the unexplained. Piri Reis Map in literary works. This map has appeared in many literary works, from fantasy novels to occult scientific studies. Famous works such as The Voyage to Atlantis by C.G.S. Fawcett or science fiction novels by H.P. Lovecraft use the image of Piri Reis as a symbol for the exploration of unknown worlds and lost civilizations. In these stories, the Piri Reis Map is not simply a tool to explore mysterious lands, but also a key that leads the main character to mysterious artifacts, timeless technologies, or strange events that no one can explain. The story often follows the motif of searching for treasure or discovering artifact from lost civilizations, an extremely attractive and fascinating theme. The Piri Reis Map in films and television. The Piri Reis Map has also inspired many films and television shows. One of the most prominent films is Indiana Jones and the Golden Disc. Although the Piri Reis Map does not appear directly, the image of ancient maps and mysterious journeys to find treasure. Ancient civilizations have been imbued in these types of films. Indiana Jones, as a famous adventurer, seems to be the perfect symbol for someone who will never stop searching for the secrets hidden in ancient maps like Piri Reis. In addition, in television shows like Ancient Aliens, the Piri Reis Map is also frequently mentioned as evidence for the existence of alien civilizations. Experts and characters in this show often argue that this map cannot simply be a human map, but evidence of extraterrestrial intervention. This shows one of the interesting features of the Piri Reis Map. It always opens up discussions about truth and fiction in film and television genres. This map is a vehicle for telling mysterious stories, in which the main characters are faced with unexplained secrets. Influence in conspiracy theories. The Piri Reis Map has also inspired countless conspiracy theories. One of the most notable theories is the alien theory. Believers of this conspiracy theory believe that the Piri Reis Map is clear evidence of alien intervention in our civilization long ago. According to this theory, the map is a document of extraterrestrial beings who provided ancient civilizations with information about undiscovered lands and superior technology. There are even theories that the Piri Reis Map is evidence of the Atlantis civilization, or even messages from lost civilizations that only explorers like Piri Reis can access. These theories not only arouse curiosity, but also raise questions about the existence of ancient civilizations and the intervention of extraterrestrial forces in our history. The Piri Reis Map and its unsolved mysteries. The influence of the Piri Reis Map extends beyond inspiring works of literature and film. It also raises unanswered questions about history, science, and the development of humanity. For over 500 years, researchers have been searching for answers to the questions it raises, from its uncanny accuracy about inaccessible lands to the mystical symbols it contains. The map has become a symbol of endless curiosity about lost treasures and ancient civilizations, things that we may never fully understand. It is not simply an ancient map, but a bridge between us and the deepest secrets yet to be discovered. Conclusion. The Piri Reis Map, forever a mysterious symbol. The Piri Reis Map will always be one of history's most mystical symbols. From inspiring science fiction to fueling theories of alien intervention, the map will always be an important piece in the quest for the truth about lost civilizations and hidden secrets. More than just a geographical document, the Piri Reis Map is a witness to a mysterious past that we cannot fully explain. And like all great legends, it continues to call people to seek the truth, even though that truth may forever remain an unsolved mystery.